Hi everyone, this is AutoSolve, and today's a special session regarding SAF-t Norway. Right, so let me just quickly bring this up for you. So SAF-t Norway is a standard for accounting audits, tax audits. So it's effectively a file that your company has to produce if it operates within the jurisdiction of Norway. So it's a recently introduced format. It was introduced in 2021, and it has had several changes to it. So every company that operates in Norway has to submit that file for audits, for tax audits. If your company is performing financial audit, you might be also required to submit the file. And a really good reason why you would actually have to do it is because it kind of provides standard for how your transactions are shown and displayed and structured within the file. So if we go to the website here and the official website, and if we look at the recent documentation, how your file has been looking, a lot of information there, but kind of the basis here is that you have to produce an XML file for every single listing within your ledger that you have for that particular year, for that particular period. You have to include all your transactions, all your journals, all your vendors, all your customers, and you have to submit your entire general ledger with beginning balances and the year-end balances. Why would I want to show such task and its automation? Because I did come up with a way to automate this for where I work. The reason is because the format that they're asking for is extremely complex. It's not something that you would normally do using XML format. So let me just scroll down. So I'm looking at it now. Here is the snippet showing how one of your customers should be looking within the file. So if you have 100 customers, your file must contain this for 100 times. This piece is the supplier. There it carries on for just one single supplier. Here they're kind of outlining all of the detail on every single tag, XML tag. And kind of towards the bottom here we have, this is what I really wanted to focus on, by the way, that's the general ledger entries. For every general ledger you would have to submit this kind of a record. I believe they'll show an example just now. Right, so here it is. So the journals. The journals start with the journal. Now within the journal you have transactions. So your tag for a single journal would have a tag for potentially several transactions within your journal. Now every transaction would have an outline of journal. So you see here it carries on. Now every transaction, this is still a transaction, would have a line element, and that may contain many lines per journal, per transaction. There it carries on with more detail for journal lines. And here is a snippet on how one singular might just look in the file. Look at this. Here it starts now with this tag of a journal. There's the journal. Now we open up a tag for a transaction. Specify it. Now this transaction would have line elements, of which there could be many, and we can see it clearly here. There's another line. And this transaction comes to an end, and we open another transaction. Remember, we're still within the same journal. So that can carry on for many lines. So if your company operates, let's say in a volume of million ledger postings per financial year, then the file might grow significantly in size. So 100 lines, 100,000 lines gives you about 30 megabytes of data. So the file can get quite large. Anyways, so what I have here is I have some dummy XML separated files for those sections. So I have my transaction, I have my journal, it's just a singular one, I've got some dummy data here. I've combined it, I've created some supplier information for just single supplier, just to fill that void within the file with something. I've got my customer, one singular customer with some information. And I've got my general ledger with just single general ledger entry. Now, out of this, using my automation, I'm able to produce a file right here. A file that would validate lovely with the schema. Your file, in order for it to be successfully submitted, it must be validated against the Norwegian SAF-t schema. So if you start changing the elements, or if your elements or the values do not adhere to the standard, to the schema, then you're in trouble because your file would not submit successfully. So back to the basics. So we have standard, we have some data now. Now we have to produce a file that would fulfill for the authorities. I've built this project here using C#. These 4 files, 5 input files, and it runs them together, joins them together, and it produces. Here is my code, so I'm kind of starting off here by importing the files. I'm scaffolding everything out. Just going to quickly walk you through. So what I have this for validation. I'm loading the validation schema. Validation schema, by the way, and all of the other stuff is available within the official GitHub repository. So they have all the documentations, all this. Actually, they're different schema, because now it's going to need to be validated against 1.3. If I remember this correctly, yes, it's 1.3 version now, which is going to be enforced over 2025. So this submission, so at the end of this year, you'll have to be using this version 1.3, which is not so much more different than version 1.2, but there are still some differences. So back to the code. So there's a schema that I've downloaded. My code here kind of just goes one section at a time. I'm also doing post-production file sort of analysis, just to make sure that everything that I have in my file reconciles back to what it was supposed to be. So I also have to do something with the header, because we have to produce a header as well that would be adherent to the specification. Got my transactional section here. Supplies. Got a separate one for supplies, just to make sure everything's named nicely. I'm using link extremely a lot here, purely because of its simplicity and how easy you can use C# and the link together to pull the information every step and structure it, and change the names of the XML structures. Then here I'm gluing it together. See, I've got all my sections as separate separate objects with their own special class. Special mask, and I'm gluing them together. Save the file. So I've got one special section for general ledger as well. So all of this code was written, was validated, was checked, and I will show you what I have. That's my build custom section. I'll show you my file that I finally produced would successfully validate. Allow me just real quick now. There it is. So attempting to validate, there it is. So I've processed one my journals, build file, done all the adjustments, and the has been validated. Now, how do I know that it actually validates? Let me just go to my file real quick. So I'm going to open this file that I'm trying to validate. There file. So I'm going to write something definitely wrong here. So I'm going to take the debit amount, which I have here, and I'm going to say something like it's a text. So I'm going to say A, B, C, D. Let's save it now. Right. Immediately, upon me making that change, I can see that there is a problem. A, B, C, D is invalid according to the schema. It's got to be a text type, not string type. Number type, not string type. So I'm going to quickly change that back. 10.00. Save it back. There you go. Back to invalidate. So here, if this was my submission, I had to perform a submission for 2024 or 2022 or 2021 now. I'll be able to file, and every eligible auditor or tax authority will be able to look at my documentation, look at my files, look at my ledger, see my ledger for what it is, and ask relevant questions. And because I've built this file, I'll be able to provide these answers reasonably easy, because I know how it's structured, how I was pulling information, where it came from, and how to obviously answer and attend the queries that auditors might have for me. Now, I hope this was super useful. Please let me know if this is the kind of content you'd be interested in. If you've used your own automations or software you've developed to fulfill this requirement for SAF-t, potentially in Norway, potentially in any other country within Europe, let me know. Thank you so much.